Hey, welcome back. If you're just joining us for the first time, we are doing several mods on this Miata here. We've got a 6-speed transmission and a limited slip differential going in. But in the meantime, we're doing a very fun mod today. We're going to be changing the steering wheel, the shift knob, and the e-brake to one of the NB Special Edition wood grain steering wheels. This is what it looks like all installed and in the car. I'll walk you through the slight modifications and adjustments that we need to make in order to get it to seat properly. In front of me, I got a package just very recently, and I'm very excited about this one. This is the Nardi wood grain steering wheel out of one of the special edition NB Miatas. And they fit fairly easily on the NA. We just have to do a couple modifications here, but the spline itself is 1-for-1, so it will fit in perfectly. In addition to that, we also picked up the full set. So we got the Nardi shift knob. This one is for a 6-speed. It's a little worn, but you can see the 6 there, and they are there. So, like I said, prepping for swap to that 6-speed manual transmission. So that's sort of my justification for buying these. And then we got the handbrake, which is also very nice wood. I love these hand grips on there. And so came with all the necessary materials to get that stuff set up. So we're gonna try it, we're gonna go for it. First things first, gonna go ahead and take out the old shift knob and swap in this one. Very similar shapes, should be the same thread pattern. I got both of them off. Oddly enough, I think that this one is actually heavier in the head portion. So like up here, it feels very heavy. This one just feels similar weight sort of throughout. And now I'm pretty curious. I want to see which one's heavier, so I'm going to take it and put them on a scale. All right, first up, we got the old one here. 6.8 ounces. Let's try this guy. Yeah, I had a feeling. 5.9. So saving an ounce, you know, better MPGs. This is a worthwhile mod. The next part here is going to be the e-brake. Thankfully for me, the previous owner included all of the necessary hardware to do this swap. Supposedly it's a 1-for-1 fit for the NA, so we're going to take a look here and see if there's any necessary modifications we need to make. I was a little skeptical at first, but it does look like it is a direct bolt-on. So I think we're going to go and just swap the entire thing. Now, unfortunately with this one, I didn't think ahead and buy a new plastic bit, so I'm gonna have to reuse this one. It's a little damaged, so for the time being, it is what it is, but in the future, I think I'll order a new OEM one and swap it out. And then the actual e-brake cable just had this little clip holding that in place so it doesn't unscrew. But to swap it out, we just unscrew it, and then we'll reconnect this once we swap out the new one. This electrical connection was just right there, so I'm probably just going to mirror that connection with the new pieces that we have from the NB. So here they are side by side. It looks like this one came with an extra connector, so I may try and bend that back in shape, see about, I don't know, they both kind of have a little bit of corrosion. I mean, this one's pretty dirty, but it doesn't seem bad as far as corrosion wise. The electrical connection is done. I went ahead and tightened these 3 just ever so slightly because when I was tightening this before putting those bolts in, it was damn near impossible to get them back in. So now that I've got those at least started, I'm gonna take just a flathead and tighten this up until it's nice and snug. So that way the parking brake works properly. Next up, we're gonna look at how to take off this guy here and then the steering wheel itself. On the back there, we've actually got a couple nuts. So I believe it's 4. It's gonna be 1 there, 1 on the top, and it's the same on the opposite side. Quick note, make sure you disconnect your battery before you mess with the airbag, because not good, you know. I just used a little 1/4-inch drive ratchet with a wobble extension, and I was able to get it out without moving the steering wheel at all. Now this is going to just pop right on out. Oh, I'm always so hesitant being, on the receiving end of an airbag, but just be gentle. And there you have it. There's one connector back there for the horn, one for the airbag. We get all of those out, and I also want to weigh these and see what the difference is, because these ones are steel and they're pretty darn heavy. But as you can see, it's rusted out pretty good. So won't be upset to get this out, to be honest with you. As far as electrical connections go, this one is for the airbag, obviously. You push that up and it'll come out. This is true on the 97. I don't know on the others because obviously I haven't worked on those. I'm just speaking from my experience here. And then this one, it has just that little one right here, push down and pull out. So this is the only one that stays in the car, and the one we're gonna have to modify a little bit as far as making sure the horn and the airbag work in the NB. Next, we're gonna take this one out, and I'm gonna use an impact gun just to get it out, because I think that's gonna be easier. And then when we put it back on, we just make sure that it's, got some thread lock, torque to the correct spec, all that good stuff. But this is also the last point in time where you can adjust, your wheel and make sure that it is correct up and down, and the wheels outside are also going straight, because otherwise you're gonna feel it. So steering wheel looks good, wheels look good. This is 21mm, so we're just gonna go ahead and pop it off. All right, and then I haven't touched it, so we'll see if it's stuck in there, but we just need to feed this back through here. Oh yeah, it's a good thing that airbag and battery aren't connected, because just beating up on it like this, I don't think it would have liked it. But yeah, oh, there it comes. All right, just make sure that feeds out. And there you have it. This is the point where we look at the top and the bottom here. So notice these are at the sort of 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock. And then on the NB, they would have been on the 3 and the 9 o'clock. So that's where the slight modification on the back comes in. All right, so I got them both out. I picked them both up. I can definitely tell you that this one is a heck of a lot heavier. And then, like I said, those sort of 12 and 6 o'clock is right there on this steering wheel. And then on the other one here, it's sort of at the 3 and the 9 o'clock. That's the point that we have to modify. We have to drill an additional 2 holes at the 12 and the 6, so that way this one will work. And then the turn signals will work correctly. So that's sort of the direction we gotta go with this. 6 pounds, 5.2 ounces. 8 pounds, 7.4 ounces. A 2-pound difference there. That's pretty decent. Before we start drilling into this, probably a good idea, remove the airbag. On this one, it is just 2 of these bolts. So you've got one here and one there. So same 10mm. We'll go ahead and get those out. This guy should come off. There's the additional screw. All right. Put that safely off to the side somewhere. And then this is what we want to look at. So here we've got the horn connector, because this guy connects in a little bit of a different way than the NA did. This one, that's all that's happening, is this spring connector is hitting and completing the circuit, or anywhere that you want to push on this guy. It's all doing the same thing, right? So that's where we're looking. Fun fact on that one, the Nardi logo is in the back there, made in Italy. So this one is a little bit different than the other, NB wheels, but still generally the same concept. How I'm choosing to approach this specific drilling procedure is I'm going to take and figure out what size drill bit I need to make a hole that's about that size. So it looks like the 13/64 is going to be about correct. So this is my final size. I'll need a pilot hole size, so 7/64, something like that, be about good. And then to even be more accurate, I'm gonna take and put center punch on the new steering wheel, so that way I don't have to drill twice, don't get off track, and everything lines up correctly. I've opted to try and do this a unique way because I want to make sure that the holes are accurate. So just trying to line this up, make sure I can see where the holes are supposed to be. I tried using Sharpie on this, but it didn't work so great. So we're gonna try and just use paint and sort of transfer where those lines are supposed to be from the NA to the NB. And see if that works. All right, let's see, that looks about correct. So place it on, a little bit of pressure. I definitely can see where it is on this side, a little light on this side, but we get the idea enough that I think it's going to transfer over just fine. Okay, honestly doesn't look too bad. I've got to clean this up. I want to make sure there's no metal shavings and then test fit it. And I'll show you the test fit, see if that works. Okay, moment of truth. So like I said, I want to make sure that the clock spring here is at the sort of 12 o'clock and then the cable's at the 6 o'clock, which should match up with the holes that we just drilled in this one. So we're gonna try and feed it in, get the cable connection through here, at which point you'll probably have to readjust the clock spring because it kind of does its own thing. So get that back to sort of 12 o'clock there, and then moment of truth does that. Spline fits, clock spring seems to fit, might be a tooth or two off, so I may readjust, but regardless it does fit and it is in once we get that in there. After some research, it looks that the torque spec for this guy is between 29 and 36 foot-pounds, which is surprisingly low, but it does have that retaining sort of washer in there. So just gonna follow that. She is all in, not coming out, not going nowhere. Now we just gotta worry about, this is obviously the horn, and then the two yellow wires down there are gonna be the airbag. So trying to splice all that kind of up. I've gone over it a couple times in my head, done a little bit of research here, and trying to figure out the best way to wire these up, because obviously this one here is going to be my horn, and then this one is going to be the airbag. Supposedly, as long as you connect the two terminals to complete the circuit on the airbag, there won't be any airbag light, and theoretically it should work. And then the horn button is just the one connector because it's already grounded to this itself. So, you know, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel here and figure out, oh, how do I connect this sort of style of terminal to this, I think what I'm going to do is just end up cutting the one off from the NA, and do the same thing for the airbag itself. So that way I can just reuse these connections, tuck it back nicely in here, and then call it a day. So we're looking back on the NA right now. So this is the horn connector, and then this one is the airbag. So you're gonna have to splice some wires here. This has got sort of a heat shrink wrap on there, so I have to cut that, but then be careful not to cut the wires. This was that heat shrink. I just used a razor blade and kind of cut along very shallow as to not cut any of the wires. But now the wires are exposed and this connector is still good, so we'll probably cut it around here and then splice it onto this guy. So we'll have to remove this as well. Same thing, be very careful not to cut the wires. because you don't want any accidental connections happening with an airbag. Yeah, not pretty, but it's certainly better than just butt connectors. This next one I'm really not excited for because it's in the car. It has to be in the car. Trying to make it quick with no drips. Got the heat shrink. I'm gonna put it on the ground wire before we continue. Yeah, it looks good to me. Hopefully this corrects the issue of how that steering wheel is sitting, because I test fitted it and it didn't sit very well. So we'll see. Electrical connection time. So this guy's got to go on first, and it goes on this side. And then the horn button has to go on because it kind of, what's the word I'm thinking of? Oh, it's still kind of warm. The wires and stuff. Maybe I should have waited a little longer. Oops. Okay, then that one goes there. Oops, sorry, can you still see? Yeah, you're fine. Okay. And then we're gonna see about just tucking that right there. And it doesn't really like it. Okay. So I'm gonna figure out a different tuck method. 1 second here. All right, and that's the final product. All wood, all around. And I was having issues with my parking brake before, not actually stopping the car, but as you can see, it's in neutral now. Parking brake's up, it's not moving. So simultaneously fixed the parking brake and swapped it. So overall, super easy mod. Did this in the morning. Moment of truth, I'm connecting the battery. I'm gonna leave you up here to see if anything goes kaboom. Alright, well, both sides are connected, so it looks like I did something partially right. I'm gonna try and turn on the car and hope that this thing doesn't pop me in the face. Let's see. I'm gonna get out of the way. So good. Let's go test and see whether the clock spring is actually going to work on this or not. Just want to make sure that, you know, when I hit the blinker, that it's actually going to turn off. So let's try that. It feels so good though. Yeah, one final test. Honestly, I'm kind of gonna miss the horn buttons. Such a unique little feature, and they were so fun. Just boop, 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 boop. But yeah, it looks better, so that's fine. If you made it this far, we appreciate you watching as always. Go ahead and like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video on this project here. And in the meantime, if you can't wait, we have another video here for you, and then you can always check out our channel here for more content. Take care. Bye-bye.